official ZU from Birmingham, UK. How should one behave when speaking to a woman for a reason? Can you look at her face? Can you look at her in her face?
Question says, how should a person behave when speaking with a woman? Is he allowed to speak to her directly? Can he look at her face, etc.? The general rule is that you're between two principles. The first is the command to lower your gaze from a woman for whom you're not a mahram. That's a principle. It's to lower your gaze from looking at a woman for whom you aren't a mahram. And the second principle is treating people honorably. Treating people honorably and speaking to people and dealing with people with respect. Bil ma'ruf, bil husna. That's a principle that's supported by the text of Kitab and Sunnah as well. So which one of the two takes dominance? How much of this, how little of that, etc. The tweaking, you turning the knobs, 80% lowering of the gaze, 20% I made contact with her, spoke to her, so on and so forth. That's going to depend on the time, the place, and on you. The first concept is the concept of a sister that doesn't wear niqab. Many people, whether they're men and women, brothers and sisters, they think that there is a separate amount or a separate list of rulings pertaining to a woman who doesn't normally cover her face or her hands on her face, when it comes to Muslims. The sister does not cover her hands and her face on the subway, driving a car, walking, eating, wherever she goes, everyone can see her face. She's beautiful, considered by the people. She isn't considered beautiful, whatever. Makeup, whatever the case may be. But everyone sees her face on a daily basis. The fajr, the pious, the wicked, etc. And then whether it's the sister herself or a brother or someone else, they think that there's a new separate rulings that she gets when there's a certain time or a certain place. Such as, an example of this is a sister teaching a class in college. Can a sister give a lecture in college? Many people that says, no, it's haram, astaghfirullah. How can she stand up in front of men and give a talk? And the girl goes to college, sits in college, studies in school all day without what? Her face being what? Covered. So one may ask, what's the what? What's the difference? What's the what? What's the difference? Are we clear on this? Or the sister doesn't wear niqab. She doesn't cover her face in front of the nasty, wicked kuffar men. She sees a Muslim man and she does what? She covers her face instantly. Or I have to go to the masjid, I have to cover my face. What's the difference? One may say, what? What is the what? What is the difference? So if there's a sister that doesn't cover her face, and you look at her for the reason why you're looking at her, that's one scenario. Then you see in her face and she normally, what? Covers her face. You with me or not? The sister normally does what? Covers her face. And then you look at her in her eyes, or you ask her to take off her niqab, or look at her ID, and her face isn't what? I understand. That's a different scenario. Also, what type of person you are. Are you pious, trying to be righteous, trying to do the right thing? It's one thing. You have a girlfriend, you have a boyfriend, you're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all day, all night, looking at videos, looking at women, and then you see a sister, and it's a whole new, like you said, a new set of rulings now, on which a person not only doesn't look at the sister, but he turns around and he's saying to the side, "No, sister, it's that way." Many people they do this. And the shocking, crazy thing is you'll see this in college. Brother, he asked me, he says, can a sister give the talk during the Islamic Reminder Week or the Islamic Awareness Week in college? Because, the people are saying that it's haram for a woman to be in front of the men. As I was finishing my lecture, my Q&A session, outside of the classroom was a non-covered, non-Muslim woman. Uncovered non-Muslim woman with tight clothes and this and that, waiting to come in the room and what? Teach them. And then he asked, can a sister who's wearing a khimar, who's wearing an overgarment, to stand and give a reminder to the people? That's haram. But the kafir lady, with her natural body out, exposed, tight, perfume, that's what? Something is clearly wrong now, guys. Everybody understand? Something's clearly what? Clearly wrong. Everybody understand this? So at the end of the day, if there's a sister and there is a need for you to look at her face, in which the nature of the conversation, or buying and selling, returning something, in a courtroom. Someone is emotionally distraught, counseling somebody, they're really messed up. You have to talk to them and look at them and help them out. That's one thing. And if that isn't necessary, or if that isn't the case, then perhaps it's a different story. But the fine tuning, the do's and the don'ts, is going to be subjective to the place, to the time, and to the person. To the place, the time, and the person. And most importantly, if you look at a sister that you're talking to, or a sister looking at a man, it doesn't mean that you have to lust and gawk and stare at the person. Everybody understand this? There is a difference between the what? Between the two. So this is what I feel regarding this issue. I feel that a person has to implement all of the Islamic principles. I feel that a person has to take into consideration his time, his place, his location, and one's lifestyle. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't strive for perfection. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't try to be better. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't try to practice the sunnah and have shyness for your sins. We're not trying to say that. But it means don't go to the extreme and neglecting a cultural norm that you are far from implementing things which are far less than that. Everybody understand these words? So that's what I feel regarding this issue. Wallahu la yuhibbul fasad. Allah does not love corruption and evil and things like this. Wallahu ta'ala alam.